Hi students, this is for Thursday 12:3 for remote students or Friday 12:4 for remote students. It is the same. This is from the Week at a Glance. A Christmas Carol whole novel test is scheduled for Monday, December 14th for Monday, Thursday students, and Tuesday, December 15th for Tuesday, Friday students. Today's assignments are an assistance in preparing for this test. First, you'll complete the Bah Humbug assignment posted on Google Classroom. Let's go to that. The Bah Humbug assignment. Use your own prior knowledge in this novel link here to answer question number 1. Specifically, use this. Go back and reread. Don't breeze over it. Why did Scrooge say humbug to people when they wished him a Merry Christmas? Explain your answer fully. Answer in complete sentences. Give your best work. Do not do partial work or halfway work. Do a good job. Part 2, follow each step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Step 1, read the following text at this link here. Much, Marley's voice, no doubt about it. Who are you? Ask me who I was. Who were you then? Said Scrooge, raising his voice. You're particular for a shade. He was going to say to a shade, but substituted this as more appropriate. In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. Can you sit down? Asked Scrooge, looking doubtfully at him. I can. Do it then. Scrooge asked the question because he didn't know whether a ghost so transparent might find himself in a condition to take a chair, and felt that in the event of it being impossible, it might involve the necessity of an embarrassing explanation. But the ghost sat down on the opposite side of the fireplace as if he were quite used to it. You don't believe in me, observed the ghost. I don't, said Scrooge. What evidence would you have of my reality, beyond that of your senses? I don't know, said Scrooge. Why do you doubt your senses? Because, said Scrooge, a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are. Scrooge was not much in the habit of cracking jokes, nor did he feel in his heart by any means waggish then. The truth is that he tried to be smart as means of distracting his own attention and keeping down his terror, for this spectre's voice disturbed the very marrow in his bones. To sit staring at those fixed, glazed eyes in silence for a moment would play Scrooge felt the very deuce with him. There was something very awful, too, in the spectre being provided with an infernal atmosphere of its own. Scrooge could not feel it himself, but this was clearly the case, for though the ghost sat perfectly motionless, its hair and skirts and tassels were still agitated, as if by the hot vapor from an oven. You see this toothpick, said Scrooge, returning quickly to the charge, for the reason just assigned, and wishing, though it were only for a second, to divert the vision's stony gaze from himself. I do, replied the ghost. You're not looking at it. But I see it, said the ghost, notwithstanding. Well, returned Scrooge, I have but to swallow this and be for the rest of my days persecuted by a legion of goblins of all my own creation. Humbug, I tell you, humbug. At this, the spirit raised a frightful cry and shook its chain with such a dismal and appalling noise that Scrooge held on tight to his chair to save himself from falling in a swoon. But how much greater was his horror when the phantom, taken off the badger round his head, as if it were too warm to wear indoors, its lower jaw dropped down upon its breast. This text is very old-fashioned. It's Charles Dickens. You'll notice that there's parts of it that may not be in Scrooge and Marley, the play. It may not be in other versions of the movie. Notice this is compared to food. So Scrooge thinks that Ebenezer Scrooge is just maybe indigestion or heartburn or just a headache he's having. He's just hallucinating. You know, he ate his gruel earlier. It just can't be real. It cannot be Jacob Marley sitting down in front of him with chains around him, talking to him. So it must be his imagination. It must be his health, something he ate. On this side, it looks like Scrooge was sarcastic to a ghost. Now, I don't know about you, but if my previous co-worker came to me as a ghost, I probably would not be sarcastic to him or her. So this is interesting. This also talks about, this is Also kind of a strange thing, but it looks like Scrooge is also referring to the fact that I'm not really seeing you. You're just something in my imagination. All right, next piece. Now that you've read the following text, this is the scene from the longer version of the novel in the Blue Book. This is the scene of the ghost of Jacob Marley visiting Ebenezer Scrooge. Specifically look at when Scrooge says to the ghost of Marley, there is more of gravy than of grave about you. Down here. So come back down here. Read the whole context. Do some critical thinking. Next, I would like for you to, for step 2, watch the scene from this 1984 YouTube link. You'll watch from minute 3 to minute 5. This is what it looks like. Then, step 3, watch the scene from this 1999 YouTube link here. Watch from minute 1 to minute 7. And you can do that. I know you can do that yourself. Step 4, think about what gravy is. I actually gave you a link here. Gravy, the sauce made from cooked meat juices together with stock and other ingredients. Think about what a grave is. A place of burial for a dead body. Lastly, answer question number 2 in complete sentences. Do your best work. No slipshod, no sloppy copy. We want 100% of your best work. Question 2. When Scrooge told Jacob Marley there's more of grave than of grave about you, about you, he meant what by this? Explain your thinking. There's more of gravy than of grave about you. Keep in mind that the more you put into something, the more you're going to get out of it. So I want you to go back, look carefully at the text here. Look back here to give you more in here. And then describe specifically. I'm not going to tell you to write 100 sentences. I'm not going to tell you to write 5 sentences. I want you to answer the question fully as a 7th grader in Hoover City Schools. Answer question 1, answer question 2 to the best of your ability, and then turn in on Google Classroom. Next, please. Review the dominant metaphors handout. This was referred to earlier in the week. Now that we've read more of the novel, go back and read it. This is important. Keep in mind, this is going to help you as we go forward. Next, you're going to look at something called the important quotes sheet. Here it is here. Get into character, quotes that are important from A Christmas Carol. Practice reading these quotes. Use inflection in your voice as you speak these lines aloud. Get into character. Pick one quote from section A. Notice this is section A. Section A, section A, section A. Goes down to number 5. There's 5 quotes there. And then pick another quote from section B. Read these aloud with emotion. Get connected with the text. And this is section B. Section B, look carefully. We have number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10. Yes, the whole thing. Read it aloud. No British accent necessary. I want you to connect to the text. Don't just breeze over it. Read your 2 chosen quotes aloud at your home. Practice them. Be prepared to read these from a sheet, not from memory, but from reading from a sheet this week or next. You will read them clearly and with articulation. This is very important. Don't forget the language arts include viewing, reading, speaking. So all sorts of parts of the language arts. For Friday, it's the same thing again. Keep in mind that when you come to class, the next time, Thursday kiddos, remote kiddos, when they come in Friday, there is a quiz on our pre-reading vocabulary. And then the other class that comes in will also have that quiz. So in-person class will have a quiz, and people at home have a lot of work to do. They're going to complete a Bah Humbug assignment. They're going to read, review a dominant metaphor sheet that you've already looked at earlier this week. You're going to read an entire sheet about important quotes from the text. Yes, some of which we haven't gotten to yet, but we will. And then you're going to practice reading them aloud a couple of times. And be prepared to read them aloud. There we are.